Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video we're going to take a look at a monster game that I had in the Henri IV, the Tier 10 French heavy cruiser. I'm divisioned up with my friend from ZR, your GRE score, and he's playing in the Montana, the Tier 10 American battleship, and we're playing some domination here on the map Sleeping Giant. So, I have been gone for about a week and a half, and I just wanted to quickly update you guys on what's going on with my life right now. I just got out of the United States military, specifically the Marine Corps. I had to fly back from Japan to go to North Carolina for about a week or so, and then a few days ago, as this video has come out this morning, I made my way back to Ohio. So I am back safe and sound and in one piece, so that's a good thing. And that ends about 5 years of active duty service for me. So just wanted to let you guys know that. And I'm really happy to be back home in the presence of my family and friends. And again, that is the reason why you haven't really seen any of my stuff for a little bit of time. But what you're going to get today is one of my best cruiser replays that I've had in the past couple weeks. And to be honest, it doesn't come in a ship that one would necessarily think of as top tier at tier 10. Now, of course, the Henri IV is still pretty powerful. It just has a very unique playstyle due to two things. One, the speed, and two, the very large caliber guns. Now, this is a ship that is very good at damage dealing. That's its big thing. It doesn't have radar, you know, like the Des Moines or the Moskva does. It doesn't have the good stealth, or I should say the great stealth like the Zhao does. It doesn't have the overall utility like a Minotaur or whatnot. This thing is basically a Saint-Louis, which is the Tier 9 French heavy cruiser, which is also a long-range damage dealer, and it kind of puts it on steroids. You get 240mm guns. You get 2 at the front, 2 turrets that is, and 1 at the rear for a total of 9. And this thing has incredible alpha damage on both the high explosive and the armor-piercing shot. So what you're able to do is also shoot out to 19.1 kilometers, which is a very healthy number indeed. And you can strike out pretty far and deal a significant amount of damage to enemy ships. You also have a very good fire chance on this one, and you know, it's well north, of 20%. So lighting fires is not an issue with this ship, and the muzzle velocity is pretty decent as well. So shooting out at range, you can see here at 12.5 kilometers on the enemy Asashio, it's really not that big of a deal. Do any of the shells hit on the salvo? Well, of course not, as I say that. But even out to about 13, 14 kilometers, it's not too terribly hard to hit ships that are like destroyer-sized or, you know, light cruisers and all that. But yeah, this ship is very good at just getting out to a flank, utilizing its speed boost to move in excess of 40 knots in a straight line, and just deal down damage from afar. And, you know, I know there's the whole debate about damage farming and whether it's really useful or not. Well, unfortunately, this is the one-trick pony that this thing has, and it does it extremely good. And you're going to see here on these couple of salvos that I shoot downrange at the North Carolina, the damage does add up very quickly against enemy battleships. These shells easily have enough penetration with the HE to be able to get through the upper belt and the superstructure, the bow, and the stern, and all that. Look at that, 6,666 with 6 shells that penetrate. A lot of 6s right there. But yeah, these shells are fantastic. Then you can see with the next salvo that falls in, another shell hits, manages to do about 1,200. If you get 1 penetration, you do about 1,200 points of damage with 1 shell that penetrates. And then, of course, it started a fire. And you're going to see here with this next salvo that goes downrange at the Conqueror, the majority of the salvo hits in the superstructure, yet another fire set, and over 5,000 damage dealt right there. So like I said, very good high explosive strike potential with this ship, and you're going to be able to see plenty of that throughout the course of this replay. Other things about the ship that I haven't mentioned, the AA is pretty good if you do spec it for an AA build. You're not going to reach Minotaur, Des Moines, or even Hindenburg levels of AA, but it can hold its own. And you also have 2 torpedo launchers on each side that shoot 3 fish, and they only have a range of about 9 kilometers, but they have incredible angles. So if somebody does try to get close to you, you can utilize these torpedoes from angles where you're able to auto bounce and auto ricochet the shells that would be coming in at you. So it's not that big of a deal. And then lastly, the concealment on the ship, once the guns, once it blooms down, I'll be able to get you the number. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's around 12.5 kilometers or something like that, but we're going to see here in a few seconds once I have the bloom. 12.7. Okay, so, you know, it's really not that good. It's even worse than a Hindenburg. The only cruiser that it beats at tier 10 currently is the Moskva, so, you know, this thing is not able to hide very easily. Anyway, getting into the game, I'm up to 35,000 points of damage, but the score is not looking very good. It's 205 to 374. We've already lost 2 ships, and the enemy team has control of B. They're about to take control of C, which they do so right now, and they're also capping the Alpha objective. So right now, it is not looking good whatsoever for our team. However, things are going to be changing here in the next few minutes. And this is just another classic example of the enemy team getting a little too confident, getting a little too cocky, and allowing the enemy team, or myself in this case, to be able to make a play when the game really should be over. Now, something that you might have noticed on the minimap, the last reported position of the enemy Asashio, the new premium tier 8 Japanese DD, is at Echo 8. Now, as we all know, the Asashio is a very controversial ship here in World of Warships, but at the end of the day, it has the quote-unquote deep water torpedoes, which are not only able to not hit destroyers, but they're unable to hit cruisers as well. They're only able to target battleships and aircraft carriers. Now, why this is really important is that the positions that you're going to see me in, starting about now and going forward through the rest of this game, are going to be a little bit more aggressive than I probably should be. But the reason why I'm able to get away with it is because I know that the Asashio would be a complete mongoloid if he wanted to engage in a gunfight with me, and his torpedoes are unable to touch me. So being in open water over here, I'm completely safe right now. I really don't have to worry about too much of anything. Obviously, the Conqueror is out in front of me at about 17 kilometers, and there's also a North Carolina that's spotted at 22. There's a Freddy coming in at about 19, but I'm far enough away where I am at the sweet spot for the Henry. Getting out to about 15 plus kilometers and just utilizing your speed boost, maneuvering around, and shooting at all the ships that are coming at you. It's probably the most effective way to play the ship. And again, the reason why is because even though it's so big, it is extremely hard to hit. I cannot tell you how difficult it is to hit this thing when it is maneuvering wildly and changing up its speed. And you're going to see here throughout the rest of the game, I'm also going to be able to accrue a very healthy amount of potential damage received. And if you don't know where that's at the top right corner of the screen, you can see the second number that is right there at 94,000 is my potential damage. Also, if you've lost track of the actual damage, I've lit 6 fires so far out of 60 shells that I've shot and hit at range, and I'm up to 97,000 points of damage as yet another fire burns there on the Conqueror, and I believe I also have another one, there we go, going on the Friedrich der Grosse as well. So, at the moment, all of these battleships that are out in front of me are on fire and retreating away. However, the score is still really bad, 235 to 566. The enemy team has since held control of all 3 of the caps, so we're down by over 300 points, and it is going to go away very, very quickly. However, you can see right here, as soon as I start to take the brunt of the enemy team's fire, I am immediately going to go away and use my heal. And that's something that's very important to learn in your French cruiser. It's not just pertinent to the Henri IV. This is something that you really do have to learn once you start playing them, is knowing when to turn away and kite away. Now, obviously, you might be sitting there thinking, well, Sneaky, kiting in a cruiser, that's just, peas and carrots, right? Well, the French boats are able to do it so much better than the others because they have the speed boost and because they are so much faster than their contemporaries when they have it up. And you can see my speed boost is back, so I can use it if I need to, but again, I have been playing with the speed, playing with the rudder, and just making myself about as hard to hit as possible. And I've only lost, so far, about 10,000 permanent hit points, and I'm already up to 540,000 potential damage, which for a cruiser is not a bad number to be toting. However, the enemy team gets their largest lead of the game right about there, 210 to 622. We are contesting the A cap, and once that enemy Yugumo does kick the bucket, we are going to be able to take care of business there, and that's exactly what happens. So our friends are going to be able to start getting A now, the Des Moines that's in there, and then the Shimmy that's about to enter. And I am now refocusing my fire here on the Friedrich der Grosse. Now, you can see he's only at about 20,000 hit points, so he obviously doesn't have too much hit points remaining, and I'm going to get fire number 8 on that guy as I once again turn away, pop the speed boost, and I'm going to keep kiting away from this guy. And you can see, excuse me, as he starts to turn back into me, it looks like he used his damage control to put my fire out. My buddy in the Montana behind me did take a shot at him, but unfortunately they did not deal any damage. So I'm just going to try to pump some more shells right into his face, and there we go. His fate has been secured, but just because he is burning and guaranteed to die does not mean that I am not going to continue to shoot at this guy. You gotta get him down until they have 0 hit points, and there we go. The friendly Alsace manages to take him out. So now all of a sudden the enemy team has lost 4 ships compared to our 3, and we are now capturing the B point as well. So it was at this point that I told told GRE score, hey man, I really do think that we have the potential to win this game. You can see the Richelieu is shooting at me. However, I do slow down right before he pops his full broadside off, so I get a couple over penetrations and the vast majority of the shells miss, and I set fire number 10 on that guy. And you can see here, once the Henri does start to take some damage with Adrenaline Rush going, it can actually deal a little bit, or not a little bit, a pretty good amount of DPM. It's nowhere near Hindenburg levels, of course, but having the higher caliber guns and having the higher alpha damage, you're going to see here yet another big-time salvo, 3,700 points of damage, another fire set. I've picked up Witherer at 148,000 points of damage dealt and counting. I do get one of my turrets knocked out, however, I decide to immediately repair it. And that's something that, you know, a lot of players are very hesitant to do, but something that's very interesting to note is that if you decide not to hit the R button and not repair it, what happens is that if that turret gets knocked out again, it is permanently destroyed. If you do decide to use the repair, you basically give it a heal, so to speak, and you're going to be able to have it get incapacitated a second time, whereas it would take the third time for it to actually get destroyed. So it's very important to be able to use your repair whenever you need to, and of course, because cruisers have a lot shorter cooldown time on their repair, you know, it's something that you really do need to think about. Now, at this point, you could see the Atago was making a bad play, and he was moving in towards our position. So what I'm going to do with 1 minute and 44 seconds left on my speed boost, I'm going to go running right after this guy. He is sitting bow on, and while the Atago does have sub 10 kilometers worth of concealment, I am going to be able to make up this distance very, very quickly. And if you notice, the enemy Asashio, last spotted in F7, is not going to be able to do anything to me. I know I already said it, but because he is not able to influence this battle, at least where I'm at the moment, there's no reason for me to be scared of him whatsoever. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to chase down this Atago and take care of business. Now, I do have the armor-piercing shot loaded, and very unfortunately, I do manage 2 ricochets off of a almost full broadside Atago. It looks like one of them hit the deck, and maybe the other one hit very low at the waterline and wasn't able to penetrate, or maybe hit at a weird angle or something. I'm not 100% sure, but at this point, I realize it's time to load the high explosive and just obliterate this guy as he runs away. However, the Atago, like I mentioned, does have really good concealment, so there's no reason for me to keep running at about 80, 90 degree angle to him. So now I'm going to turn in because I can run this guy down. And this is the strength of this ship, one of the two that I highlighted at the very beginning of the game. You can also see that we've pulled the scores back 515 to 550. So even if no more ships die for the remainder of this game, you know what? That's going to be all right because we're still going to win on points. And you can see, once again, I decide to use my repair once my turret gets knocked out. So again, I give it, quote-unquote, an extra life, and it's going to be A-okay here as it has been repaired. So, you know, it's very important that you do that. Now, of course, the cooldown is about 50 seconds, so you do have to be somewhat careful when you decide to do that. But it's something that I can't stress enough. You really do need to be able to know when to use the repair, especially in cruisers. Now, if it was a battleship, that's a different story, but that's also for a different video. Anyway, at this point, the Atago has 10,000 hit points. I'm trying to get a fire set on this guy. There we go. He's not going to be... Nope, JK. He is able to put that fire out, so if I do get another one going on him, it is going to burn forever. I've also picked up the high caliber if you've lost track, and there we go. 6 more penetrations. Put him down below 5,000 hit points. This guy is going to die within the next couple of salvos, but the reason why I slowed down is because the enemy Conqueror, I just had this feeling that he was going to pop a salvo off at me, and that is exactly what I did, and it threw the vast majority of his salvo off. So at this point, I know the Atago is not going to be able to reload in time, so I decided to gun it full speed, and I managed to get the kill on that Tier 8 Japanese heavy cruiser. As a matter of fact, a couple of his shells from the rear turrets do manage to come and get me, but that's okay because they were over penetrations. And now at this angle, I'm going to be A-okay from this guy's high explosive and or armor piercing shot. Now I'm just going to hopefully be able to burn Mushopia down and secure my second kill of the game. I'm up to 1.2 million potential damage and 202,000 points of actual damage dealt so far. So, you know, not just dealing damage, but also making the enemy team waste a lot of their salvos as well is something that I've been able to do very nicely in this game. And with that kill, I managed to pick up the Arsonist because I burned him down for, well, it's a Conqueror, so a lot of his hit points. I'm also on the cap as well. I'm up to 209,000 points of damage. And now I'm getting ready to take some shots here at the enemy North Carolina. Now, something really quickly to note, there is an argument that you can make for using the range mod on the ship. Putin, as a matter of fact, does use the range mod, so it gets it out darn near 22 kilometers, which is, you know, it's a lot of range to work with, but I just don't really feel that you need it. And having the extra DPM with Main Battery Mod 3 is something that I would highly recommend. Also, I know that I forgot to do the captain skills and the equipment before the battle started, so I will provide that to you guys in the comment section below. Yeah. Anyway, 3 seconds left on the cap. I get fire number 16 of the game on the North Carolina, and he is turning. And I also do get the solo base cap, so now my base XP is going to be pretty darn nice here. And I'm also shooting at this North Carolina from stealth because I am behind the island. I am out of line of sight from that guy. And the enemy Asashio that just got spotted at F9, you know, he is now finally getting line of sight on me, but again, who cares? Because he cannot torpedo me, and it's so funny because there's been so many people complaining about how overpowered the Asashio is, and I'll be honest with you, it is kind of lame that, you know, they decided to put a ship like that in the game, but it is also kind of funny when you get this perfect matchup like this where he just can't do anything to me, so I don't have to worry about him. He is a complete non-factor to me, and I can just continue to burn down and deal lots of damage to these enemy ships. Now, something that I did mention earlier, using the armor-piercing shot is not a bad idea in the Henri IV, and even at 13 kilometers, you can still get some pretty decent broadsides with the AP, so we're going to toss one off downrange here really quickly before I get a little bit too close to the island, and not all of my shells are going to be able to make it over. You can see the shells flying in, hit at the top part of the belt, only 2,800 points of damage, but also I only had 1 penetration, so, you know, if a few more of those shells would have hit above the belt armor, I would have been A-okay. My damage now is at 242,000 points of damage, and that North Carolina continues to burn down. Hopefully I'll be able to get the kill, and that's exactly what happens as I pick up my 3rd kill of the game. I got the high explosive loaded, and now I'm swinging my turrets into play to shoot at the Asashio, who finally I'm going to try to deal with here. He's at 11 kilometers, which, like I mentioned, is not really that difficult of a shot with this ship due to the pretty good muzzle velocity. You can see he starts to speed up. I get God mode dispersion on the salvo, especially with the 2 forward guns. He starts to turn in, and kapla, I finish the game out in style with the kill. Alrighty guys, taking a look now at the post-battle results. 552,000 credits received, 16,600 total experience earned, and 7.2k free XP earned. This was definitely my first win of the day. I picked up Arsonist, Witherer, and High Caliber, a damage dealer's delight, with 246,000 points of damage off of 249 shell hits. I shot down 1 plane, sank 4 enemy ships, caused 17 fires, and had 1 solo base capture. Taking a look at the team score, 2,715 base XP. That is a very solid performance in the ship. And then my buddy in the Montana did manage to get a kill himself and finished, 7th place right there, so not too bad. Taking a look at the detailed report, 151,000 points of damage dealt with the HE, only 11k dealt with the armor piercing, but, you know, this was a game where the high explosive shot was, for the vast majority of the time, the better option. And then a further 83,000 points of damage dealt with the fires that I set, but probably the most impressive number, 1.85 million potential damage. That is also a very healthy number to get, even in a battleship, so to get it in a high-tier cruiser is something that should not be scoffed at as well. And I also managed 60 of my team's 180 capture points, which is nice. And the last number to take a look at, 75 kilometers traveled. You know, that's just the French thing to do. So, I know you guys have already seen a couple of Monster Henry games that I've had on the channel, but this is just a ship that, boy, do I love playing. And I haven't even hit 20 games in it, I don't think. And I've already had like 3 or 4 games well over 200,000. It's just a ship that rewards really good shooting, and it rewards picking, you know, on targets that are out of position. And it's a blast to play. So, you know, if you guys are liking the French cruisers, grind up to it as fast as you can. It is definitely one of my favorites now. So with that being said, this is, of course, the Sneaky Snake for Brothers in Arms World of Warships signing off. Please consider giving the video a like, commenting on it, or possibly subscribing to the channel. All of it is very much appreciated. And with that being said, guys and gals, as always, have a great day.